Doctor laughs at child beside her father until she discovered why she was there. Dr. Samantha Reynolds barely managed to hide her mocking smile when she saw the little girl in simple clothes enter her private office at Mercy General Hospital in New York City. The child, who couldn't have been more than 7 years old, clutched a crumpled brown envelope tightly to her chest, while her father, a black man with calloused hands and a worn-out shirt, stood beside her, visibly uncomfortable in the luxurious surroundings. The doctor exchanged a knowing glance with Nurse Jennifer, as if saying, "Look what just walked in." It was Thursday, the end of a rainy October afternoon, and Samantha was tired after seeing well-off patients all day. Seeing this mismatched pair in her office only added to her irritation. "Good afternoon," said Terence Jackson, the father, removing his battered cap and holding it respectfully in his hands. "Are you Dr. Samantha Reynolds?" "That would be me," the doctor replied, checking her expensive wristwatch. "Do you have an appointment? Because I don't see any Terence Jackson on my schedule for today." The little girl took a step forward, her big, expressive eyes fixed on the doctor. She wore a faded pink dress and sneakers that had seen better days, but there was something in her posture that showed determination. "We're not here for an appointment, doctor," the child said in a clear voice. "I came to give you something." Samantha subtly rolled her eyes. Probably another plea for help, she thought. Someone always showed up wanting free treatment or a discount, as if she were a charity. "Listen, sweetheart. If you need medical care, there's Medicaid. This is private practice, understand?" the doctor said, already preparing to dismiss them. "We don't want anything for free," Terence interjected, his voice carrying wounded dignity. "My daughter Destiny just wanted to give you something." "Destiny?" Samantha repeated the name with a hint of disdain. "What a unique name." Nurse Jennifer whispered something about calling security if needed, but the doctor gestured for her to wait. She wanted to enjoy this unusual situation a little longer. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, back to the story. Destiny carefully opened the envelope she was holding and pulled out a sheet of paper. Samantha could see it was some kind of colored pencil drawing. The doctor let out an audible sigh. "Is this a drawing? Look, kid, that's very cute, but I have patients waiting and—" "It's for you," Destiny insisted, holding out the paper. "I know it's you. I recognize your voice." Samantha took the drawing with little interest, ready to glance at it quickly and send them away. But when her eyes landed on the paper, something in her expression shifted. It was a carefully drawn heart, and beneath it, in childish but neat handwriting, it read, "To the doctor who saved my mommy and didn't let her go to heaven. With love, Destiny." "I don't understand," Samantha said, genuinely confused now. "I've never treated your mother. There must be some mistake." "There's no mistake," Destiny replied with conviction. "It was you. I never forget a voice. You talked to my mommy when she was sleeping. You told her not to give up, that I needed her." The doctor felt a slight unease. Something about this story wasn't adding up. She saw so many private patients that it was impossible to remember them all, but something about this child's certainty unsettled her. "When would this have happened?" she asked, more out of politeness than real curiosity. 3 years ago, Terence answered. "March 15th. We'll never forget that date." Samantha strained to remember. 3 years ago. March. But her mind was blank. She saw too many patients to remember specific dates. "I'm sorry, but you must be mistaken. I only work with private patients. If your wife was seen through Medicaid—" "It wasn't Medicaid," Terence Jackson interrupted. "It was right here at this hospital. You were on duty in the ER that night." The doctor grew even more confused. She rarely worked ER shifts. Ever since she'd opened her private practice, she avoided that chaotic environment as much as possible. But 3 years ago— "Jennifer, can you check my shifts from March 3 years ago?" she asked the nurse. As Jennifer left to check the records, Destiny kept staring intently at Samantha. There was something unsettling about that child's gaze, as if she could see right through the doctor. "You were wearing a blue blouse," the girl suddenly said. And your hair was in a ponytail. You stayed with my mom all night. I saw you when my dad took me to visit her in the morning." Samantha felt a chill. She did used to wear her hair up during shifts, and she'd had a blue blouse that was her favorite back then, but that didn't prove anything. Many doctors wore blue and tied their hair back. Jennifer returned with a tablet in her hands, her face wearing a strange expression. "Doctor, you only worked one ER shift in March that year. It was on the 15th, a Friday. You covered for Dr. Patricia, who had a family emergency." Samantha's blood ran cold. The date matched, but she still couldn't remember. "What a coincidence," she said, trying to keep her composure. "But I see so many patients. I can't remember them all." "My mother wasn't just any patient," Terence said, his voice growing more intense. "Her name was Lakeisha Williams. She came in with severe eclampsia. The doctors said she wouldn't survive the night." Eclampsia. The word echoed in Samantha's mind like a bell. Fragments of memory began to return. A chaotic night in the ER, a pregnant woman in critical condition, and her, Samantha, exhausted and annoyed at having to cover someone else's shift. "My mom was pregnant with my little brother," Destiny continued, her voice trembling slightly. "But he couldn't be born, only she stayed." Samantha's legs felt weak. Now she remembered. Lakeisha Williams, a young woman, arriving in seizures, her blood pressure through the roof, the baby already without a heartbeat, the desperate fight to save at least the mother, and her, Samantha, wanting to leave, wanting to finish that shift that wasn't even hers. I remember now," the doctor said, her voice barely a whisper. "You stayed with her all night," Terence said, tears welling in his eyes. "Even when the other doctors said there was no hope left. You didn't give up." Samantha remembered now with painful clarity. She recalled staying by that woman's side, more out of professional obligation than compassion. She remembered talking to her, yes, but only because it was protocol to speak with comatose patients, to encourage responses. It hadn't been kindness. It had been duty. "My mom said she could hear you," Destiny went on. "She said your voice wouldn't let her go. That you talked about me, said I needed her." The doctor felt a lump form in her throat. She vaguely recalled mentioning the patient's daughter, using it as a way to motivate her. But it hadn't been out of real empathy. It had been technique, procedure. "She woke up in the morning," Terence said. "The doctors called it a miracle. But my Lakeisha always said it was you, that you fought for her when everyone else had given up." Samantha looked down at the drawing in her hands again. The colorful heart seemed to pulse on the paper. "To the doctor who saved my mom and didn't let her go to heaven." The tears she had been holding back for so long threatened to spill. "Why did it take you 3 years to come here?" she asked, her voice breaking. "We tried before," Terence Jackson explained, "but we could never reach you. They always said you only took private patients. We didn't have money to pay for an appointment, but Destiny never gave up. Every year, on the anniversary of the day her mum woke up, she makes a new drawing for you." "A new drawing?" Samantha asked, confused. Destiny opened the envelope again and pulled out more papers. 1, 2, 3, several drawings, all with hearts, rainbows, flowers, and on each one, messages of thanks. "Thank you for saving my mum. You're an angel. My family is whole because of you." The doctor felt the tears finally escape. 3 years. That child had made drawings for her for 3 years. And she, Samantha, had become so cold, so distant, that she barely remembered the faces of those she saved. "Where is your mother?" she asked, almost afraid of the answer. "Why didn't she come?" "She's downstairs," Terence replied. "In the waiting room. She's embarrassed. Thinks this isn't a place for people like us. But Destiny insisted so much that we had to try today. It's her birthday, you know? 7 years." "Birthday," Samantha repeated, not understanding. "Yeah," Destiny said with a shy smile. "I was born on the same day my mom woke up from her coma, just 3 years earlier. That's why she fought so hard to come back. It was my 4th birthday." The doctor had to steady herself against the desk. The weight of that revelation hit her like a punch. On the day she had saved Lakeisha Williams, without even realizing it, She had given a mother back to a child on her birthday. "Jennifer," Samantha called, her voice thick. "Please go to the waiting room and bring Ms. Lakeisha Williams here. Tell her it's my order." The nurse, who had watched the whole scene in silence, nodded and quickly left. Samantha knelt in front of Destiny, meeting the girl at eye level. "Forgive me," she said, tears flowing freely now. "Forgive me for taking so long to remember. Forgive me for being so cold when you came in." Destiny, with the innocence only children possess, hugged the doctor. A tight, sincere hug, full of gratitude. "You don't have to apologize," the girl said. "You saved my mom, that's all that matters." But for Samantha, it wasn't all. In that moment, holding that child she barely knew, the doctor realized what she had become. When had she stopped seeing people and started seeing only procedures? When had saving lives become just another day at work? The door opened and Jennifer walked in with a woman. Lakeisha Williams was young, probably no older than 30. She wore simple but clean clothes, and her eyes filled with tears when she saw Samantha. "Doctor," she said, her voice trembling. "It's really you. I'd recognize you anywhere. You brought me back." The two women looked at each other for a long moment. Samantha saw something in Lakeisha's eyes that she had lost long ago. Pure, simple, true gratitude. Not the calculated thanks of her wealthy patients, but something genuine and transformative. "I'm sorry," Samantha said. "I'm sorry I didn't remember sooner. I'm sorry for—" "You don't have to be sorry," Lakeisha interrupted. "You gave me the chance to watch my daughter grow up, to be here today. There aren't enough thank yous in the world." Samantha looked at that family. Terence, with his working man's hands, proud and dignified. Lakeisha, a survivor, grateful. And Destiny, the girl who for 3 years drew hearts for a doctor she barely knew. "You gave me something today," Samantha said. "Something I'd lost and didn't even know." "What?" Destiny asked, curious. "You reminded me why I became a doctor," Samantha answered. "It wasn't for the money or the status. It was for moments like that one 3 years ago. To make a difference. To bring mothers back to their daughters." Lakeisha stepped closer and took Samantha's hands in hers. They were rough hands, the kind that come from hard work, but her touch was gentle. "You'll never know what this means to us," she said. "Destiny talks about you every week. Says she wants to be a doctor when she grows up too. Wants to save people like you saved me." Samantha looked at Destiny, who smiled shyly. A future doctor, inspired by a moment Samantha had nearly forgotten. "Destiny," Samantha said, kneeling down again. "Do you really want to be a doctor?" The girl nodded eagerly. "I want to save other kids' moms," she said with determination, "so no child has to grow up without their mother." At that moment, something inside Samantha shifted forever. It was as if a wall she'd built around her heart began to crumble. "I'll help you," Samantha said impulsively. "If your parents allow it, I'd like to mentor you, help however I can." Terence Jackson and Lakeisha exchanged surprised glances. "Doctor, we can't afford—" Terence began. "I'm not talking about money," Samantha interrupted. "I'm talking about guidance, support, being there. It's the least I can do for someone who gave me back something so precious." "What did we give you?" Lakeisha asked, confused. "My humanity," Samantha replied simply. The silence that followed was filled only by the sound of rain tapping against the windows. Outside, New York City kept up its frantic pace, but here, in that office, time seemed to stand still. "There's one more thing," Destiny said suddenly, reaching back into the envelope. "I brought this too." She pulled out a photo. It was of her with her mother, taken recently, both smiling, hugging, happy. "It's for you to keep," the girl said, "to remember you make miracles happen." Samantha took the photo with trembling hands. 2 lives she'd touched without even realizing the impact she'd made. "I'm the one who's grateful," she said. "You can't imagine the gift you've given me today." "Gift?" Destiny asked. "But it's my birthday." Everyone laughed, breaking the emotional tension of the moment. Samantha stood and walked to her desk. "Then we have to celebrate," she said. "Jennifer, can you order a cake from the cafeteria? Tell them it's on me. The best they have." Doctor, you don't have to, Lakeisha began. Yes, I do, Samantha insisted. We don't celebrate turning 7 and reuniting with... She paused, searching for the right word. A friend every day. As Jennifer went to get the cake, Samantha sat with the family, and for the first time in a long while she talked, not as a doctor and patients, but as people. Terrence Jackson spoke about his construction work. Lakeisha talked about her embroidery, which she sold to help support the household, and Destiny chatted about school friends' dreams. Samantha learned Lakeisha still had complications from the eclampsia, high blood pressure needing constant monitoring, expensive medications often unavailable at the Medicaid clinic. The family juggled finances to keep up with treatment. From now on, I want to oversee your care, Samantha told Lakeisha. No charge. Consider it. My thanks for finding me. Doctor, we didn't come here asking for anything, Terrence Jackson said, pride evident. I know, Samantha replied. That's exactly why I want to do this. You've given me something money can't buy. Let me repay you in the way I can. When the cake arrived, they improvised a little celebration right there in the office. Samantha sang happy birthday with them, something she hadn't done in years. Destiny blew out the makeshift candles, pens with tissue paper flames lit with a lighter, and made a wish. What did you wish for? Samantha asked. I can't tell you, Destiny said with a mischievous smile, or it won't come true. But Samantha saw the girl glance at her mother and understood. The wish had already been granted 3 years ago. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. After the small celebration, as the family prepared to leave, Samantha made a decision that surprised even herself. Wait, she said. I'd like to walk you downstairs. Get to know where you live better, if that's all right. Terrence Jackson and Lakeisha exchanged glances again, startled. Doc, we live far away, Terry said. Out in the East Bronx, it's not exactly... It's exactly where it should be, Samantha interrupted. It's where you built this beautiful family, where destiny drew all those hearts for me. I'd really love to see it. And so, for the first time in years, Dr. Samantha Reynolds, the most sought-after private physician at Mercy General Hospital, left her marble-walled office and followed a humble family through the rainy streets of New York City. The bus ride was an experience Samantha had forgotten. The crowded vehicle, the smell of rain-soaked clothes, the loud conversations, but also the kindness of those who gave up their seats for a child, the smiles exchanged between neighbors, the pulse of real life at every stop. Destiny sat beside her, chattering about everything she saw through the window. Lakeisha and Terrence stood nearby, still processing the surreal fact that this important doctor was coming to their home. Look, Doc, Destiny pointed to a graffiti mural. That drawing looks like a heart too, right? Samantha looked and smiled. It was just random spray paint, but through Destiny's eyes, anything could be transformed into love. They got off on a narrow street lined with small, tightly packed houses. The rain had stopped, but puddles reflected the dim glow of streetlights. Samantha followed the family through winding alleys that branched like veins. The home was small, just 2 rooms, but impeccably clean and tidy. What caught Samantha's eye immediately was one wall. It was covered in drawings, dozens of them, all by Destiny. She's been drawing since she was little, Lakeisha explained. After I woke up from the coma, she started drawing everything, said it was so I wouldn't forget the beautiful things while I was asleep. Samantha stepped closer to the wall. There were drawings of flowers, houses, families, and in the center, a special section, drawings of the doctor, not just the 3 Destiny had brought. There were many more, childlike depictions of a woman in a white coat saving people. Every year she makes several, Terrence said, picks the best ones to try and give to you. The rest stay here. Samantha counted silently. There were at least 20 drawings, 20 reminders of a moment she had nearly erased from memory. May I? She asked, pointing to one specific drawing. It was different from the others. It showed 2 women holding hands, one lying down, the other standing. Between them, a golden thread, like a connection. I made that one last year, Destiny explained. It's you and my mum, The golden thread is your voice, the one that didn't let her go. Samantha had to sit down. The emotion was overwhelming. How could a 6-year-old have such depth? Lakeisha brewed coffee. Simple coffee, strained through a cloth, but it carried a warmth Samantha had forgotten. They all gathered around the small table, and the conversation flowed. It was then Samantha learned the full impact of that night 3 years earlier. Lakeisha shared how, after waking from the coma, she had fallen into deep depression over losing the baby. Those were hard months, with Terence juggling work and caring for Destiny. But every time I wanted to give up, Lakeisha said, looking at Samantha, I remembered your voice. You said something that night that stayed with me. What did I say? Samantha asked, genuinely not remembering. You said life is always worth it when someone's waiting for you to come back. And there was. There was my Destiny. Samantha fell silent. She didn't remember saying those words. It had probably been automatic, part of the protocol for encouraging comatose patients. But for Lakeisha, it had been an anchor. And there's more, Terence Jackson added. Tell the doctor about the group. What group? Samantha asked. Lakeisha smiled shyly. I started a support group for women who survived childbirth complications. We meet once a week at the community center. There are almost 30 of us now. Samantha was impressed. Lakeisha had turned her pain into purpose. That's why Destiny wants to be a doctor, Lakeisha continued. She comes to every meeting with me. She sees the women suffering, but she also sees their hope. And she always talks about you, the doctor who saves people. I show my drawings to the other aunties, Destiny added proudly. Now they draw too for their doctors. Samantha laughed and cried at the same time. A chain of gratitude started by an act she hadn't even considered special. You turned something so simple into something so big, she said. It wasn't simple, Terence said seriously. You didn't sleep all night. You stayed there holding my wife's hand, talking to her. The other doctors came and went, but you stayed. Samantha tried to recall the details of that night. Slowly, the memories came back. The initial frustration of having to cover the shift. Lakeisha's complicated case. The decision to stay, not out of compassion, but professional stubbornness. She didn't want a patient dying on her watch. I wasn't a hero, she said honestly. I was just doing my job. Sometimes, Lakeisha said softly, doing our job with dedication is the greatest act of heroism there is. They talked for hours. Samantha met the curious neighbors who stopped by. She heard stories of resilience, struggle, and real life, something she'd lost in her marble-walled office. When she finally got ready to leave, it was already night. Terence offered to walk her to the bus stop, worried for her safety. I have a driver, Samantha said, pulling out her phone. I forgot to let him know. While they waited for the car, Destiny tugged at Samantha's lab coat. Doctor, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. Are you happy? The question caught Samantha off guard. She had money, success, recognition. But happy? Today I am, she answered honestly. Today you all made me very happy. So you'll come back? Destiny asked hopefully. I will, Samantha promised. And you'll come to my office too. We'll take care of your mom's health, and we'll start preparing the future, Dr. Destiny. The car arrived, a sleek black sedan that looked completely out of place. The driver seemed surprised to see where he'd picked her up. Before getting in, Samantha hugged each of them. Long, heartfelt hugs. Thank you, she said simply. For everything. On the ride back, Samantha stayed quiet, processing everything she'd experienced. The driver, used to his boss always being on the phone, found the silence strange. Everything all right, doctor? He asked. It's great, Michael, she replied. For the first time in a long time, everything's great. The next day, Samantha arrived at the hospital different. Jennifer noticed immediately. You're smiling, the nurse said, surprised. I am, Samantha confirmed. Jennifer, I want to make some changes to my schedule. I'm setting aside 1 day a week for free clinics. Special cases. Jennifer nearly dropped the tablet she was holding. But doctor, your schedule is booked for months. The private patients, they'll understand, Samantha said firmly. Or they'll find another doctor. I need to do this. I need to remember why I chose this profession. The news spread quickly through the hospital. Some colleagues laughed, saying it was just a phase, that it would pass. Others criticized her, saying she was wasting her talent on charity. But Samantha didn't care. The following week, when Destiny and Lakeisha showed up for the first official appointment, she was ready. She had researched the best treatments for eclampsia complications. She had prepared a comprehensive follow-up plan. "All this must cost a fortune," Lakeisha said, worried as she looked at the requested tests. "The cost is my problem," Samantha replied. "Your problem is sticking to the treatment. I want you healthy so you can see Destiny graduate from medical school." During the appointment, while examining Lakeisha, Samantha noticed Destiny watching her closely, absorbing every movement, every procedure. "Want to learn?" she asked. Destiny nodded eagerly. "Then let's start with the basics. This is a stethoscope." And so began an unlikely mentorship. Every week, Destiny accompanied her mother to appointments and learned something new. Samantha discovered that teaching renewed her own love for medicine. 3 months later, the results were clear. Lakeisha's blood pressure was under control, and her overall health had improved significantly. But the changes went beyond the physical. The support group Lakeisha led had grown. Samantha began volunteering to give talks for the women, teaching them about women's health, prevention, and care. The community center was packed. Destiny, in turn, had become something of a hospital mascot. Everyone knew the girl with the drawings. She still drew, but now her sketches included more medical details, a result of what she learned from Samantha. It was on one of those afternoons at the community center that something happened, which would change everything again. Samantha was finishing a talk when a woman stood up at the back of the room. "Doctor, can I say something?" "Of course," Samantha replied. "My name is Shaniqua. I lost my baby 5 years ago, eclampsia too. But the doctor who treated me, he said it was my fault, that I hadn't done prenatal care right. I carried that guilt for years, tried to take my life twice." The room was completely silent. Samantha felt the weight of those words. "But then I met Lakeisha," Shaniqua continued, "and she told me about you, about how you fought for her, about how you said life is worth living. And I thought, if a doctor did that for her, maybe I deserve a second chance too." Tears streamed down Shaniqua's face. "Today, I'm here, alive, and I'm pregnant again, doing everything right. And it's because of the chain you started when you saved Lakeisha." Samantha had to steady herself on the podium. The magnitude of her actions hit her like a wave. One life saved had multiplied into dozens of others transformed. "I'm the one who should thank you," she managed to say. "You've taught me something medical school never did. That saving a life is just the beginning. What we do with that saved life is what matters." After that afternoon, Samantha made an even more radical decision. She spoke to the hospital board and proposed creating a special program, a clinic dedicated to women with postpartum complications, with psychological support and group therapy. The resistance was strong. The hospital cited costs, lack of space, low financial return. But Samantha was persistent. She used her influence, her connections, her reputation. "If you won't support it, I'll fund it myself," she said in the decisive meeting. "But this is happening, with or without your approval." Perhaps it was the determination in her voice, or perhaps the fear of losing one of their most profitable doctors, but the administration gave in. The Lakeisha Williams Care Center would open in 6 months. "Why that name?" asked the director, still reluctant. "Because it was a Lakeisha Williams who made me see myself clearly," Samantha replied. The news of the care center's creation spread quickly. What began as a personal story took on greater significance. Local newspapers covered it. Other doctors offered to help. Donations started pouring in. Destiny, now almost 8 years old, had become a constant presence in Samantha's life. On weekends, the doctor took her to visit universities, science museums, and labs. The girl absorbed everything with an impressive thirst for knowledge. During one of these visits, while examining an anatomical model of the heart, Destiny made an observation that surprised Samantha. "The heart looks just like my drawing," she said, "but mine has something this one doesn't." What? Samantha asked. Love, Destiny answered simply. A real heart has love inside. It was love that brought my mom back. Samantha hugged the girl, moved by the purity of her words. You're right, she said. Medicine sometimes forgets that. Thank you for reminding me. 6 months flew by. The day of the Lakeisha Williams Care Center's opening arrived. It was a simple event, without fanfare but full of emotion. Lakeisha cut the ribbon, with Destiny and Terrence Jackson by her side. Samantha gave a brief but powerful speech. This place exists because a 7-year-old girl didn't give up on delivering a drawing, because a family refused to let gratitude die, because sometimes we need to be saved by those we save. This center is for all the Lakeishas, for all the Destinies, for all the families who deserve a second chance. In its first months, the center served hundreds of women. Stories of pain turned into stories of triumph. The model was so successful that other hospitals took notice. Dear listener, if you're enjoying this story, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now back to the story. A year after the opening, Samantha received an unexpected invitation. A prestigious university wanted her to speak about humanizing medicine. The topic? How a child's drawing revolutionized my medical practice. In the audience, among students and professors, sat Lakeisha, Terrence, and Destiny. The girl, now 9, held a new drawing. Samantha told the whole story, from the day she laughed at the child with the crumpled envelope to the center's opening. She spoke about how she had lost herself in the pursuit of success, and how she was rescued by those she should have forgotten. Medicine teaches us to save lives, she said, but it doesn't teach us what happens after. It doesn't teach us about the power of gratitude, about the impact a single act can have. I saved Lakeisha Williams 6 years ago, but she and her family saved me from a life empty of real purpose. At the end of the talk, Destiny stepped onto the stage. She was taller, more confident, but her eyes still held the same spark. I brought a new drawing, she said into the microphone, but this one isn't just for Dr. Samantha, it's for all the doctors here. She held up the drawing, a giant heart inside of which were people holding hands. Doctors, patients, families, all connected. This is what Dr. Samantha taught me, Destiny said. That medicine isn't about one person saving another. It's about all of us saving each other together. The audience erupted in applause. Samantha hugged Destiny, tears streaming freely. In that moment, she understood the circle was complete. The girl she had inspired was now inspiring others. In the years that followed, much would change. The Lakeisha Williams Care Center became a national reference. Destiny grew up, always focused on her dream of becoming a doctor. Samantha found a balance between her private practice and volunteer work. But the most important thing was the friendship that blossomed between the two families. Regular dinners, outings, shared moments. Samantha, who never had children, found in Destiny the daughter life hadn't given her. And Destiny found in Samantha not just a mentor but a second mother. When Destiny turned 15, Samantha gave her something special. It was a folder containing all the drawings the girl had made over the years, carefully preserved and organized. You kept all of them? Destiny asked, emotional. Every single one, Samantha confirmed. They're my treasures. They remind me every day of who I am and why I do what I do. Destiny flipped through the drawings, laughing at some, moved by others, moved by. When she reached the first one, the heart with the original message, she paused. You know, she said, I don't remember writing this. Mom helped me. I just wanted to thank you, but I didn't know how. And you did, Samantha replied, in a way that changed my life forever. 5 more years passed. Destiny, now 20, was in her second year of medical school. Samantha was there every step of the way, guiding, supporting, celebrating victories, and comforting her in setbacks. Then, on an ordinary afternoon, Samantha got a call that made her blood run cold. Lakeisha had been hospitalized. Late cardiac complications from eclampsia. Her condition was critical. Samantha dropped everything and rushed to Mercy General Hospital. She found Terrence Jackson and Destiny in the waiting room, holding each other, crying. She's not doing well, doctor, Terrence said. The doctors aren't giving us much hope. Samantha felt the world spin. She couldn't lose Lakeisha, not after everything. "Where is she?" she asked. "ICU 3, Destiny answered. "But they won't let us in." Samantha didn't hesitate. Using her influence, she got access to the ICU. Lakeisha was hooked up to machines, unconscious, fighting for every breath. The attending physician explained the situation. Severe heart failure. The toll of eclampsia had finally come due. The next few hours would be critical. Samantha looked at Lakeisha and made a decision. She sat by the bed, took her hand, and began to speak. "Lakeisha, it's me, Samantha. Remember me? The doctor who stayed with you that night so many years ago. Well, now it's my turn to tell you, you can't leave. Destiny needs you. Terrence needs you. I need you." And so, Samantha repeated the gesture Lakeisha had held in her memory for so long. She stayed there, hour after hour, talking, recalling shared moments, speaking about the future. "Destiny's going to become a doctor," she said. "You need to be there. You need to see your daughter live the dream that was born because you survived. You can't go now, Lakeisha, not when we have so much ahead." Destiny and Terrence were allowed in. The three of them stood together, a chain of love and hope around Lakeisha. It was Destiny who had the idea. She grabbed paper and a pen from her bag and began to draw. A heart, as always. But this time, she drew 4 people inside it. "What are you doing?" Samantha asked. "Showing Mom that our heart has room for her," Destiny answered, "that she's part of it." The hours dragged on, night fell. Samantha cancelled all her appointments. Nothing was more important than being there. Then, in the early morning, it happened. Lakeisha's erratic heartbeat began to stabilize. Her breathing improved. The doctors rushed to check, stunned by the change. "It's not possible," one of them said. "The tests hours ago showed progressive deterioration." But Samantha knew. Love had done its work again. The voice that refuses to let go. The presence that anchors to life. Lakeisha woke at dawn. Weak, but conscious. Her first glance was for Destiny. "Daughter," she whispered. "Mom." Destiny hugged Lakeisha gently. "You came back." "I heard you," Lakeisha said, tears streaming. "I heard all of you, and I saw the drawing, sweetheart. The heart with all of us inside." Samantha felt her legs weaken with relief. Once again, love had won. Lakeisha's recovery was slow but steady. The episode served as a warning to intensify her care. Samantha assembled a multidisciplinary team to monitor her. During her convalescence, something beautiful happened. The women from the support group organized to help. Each day, one of them would go to Lakeisha's home, bringing food, keeping her company, handling household chores. "It's the kindness coming full circle," one of them said. "Lakeisha took care of all of us when we needed it. Now it's our turn." Samantha watched it all with admiration. She had created more than a care center. She had helped build a community. 6 months later, Lakeisha had recovered. Not completely, she never would be, but well enough to resume her activities. The first place she wanted to visit was the care center that bore her name. "It's strange seeing my name there," she said. "I didn't do anything special." "You survived," Samantha said, "and turned your survival into hope for others. That's very special." Time kept passing. Destiny excelled in college, always among the top students. Samantha followed each achievement with maternal pride. It was during Destiny's 5th year of college that fate played another trick. Samantha was diagnosed with cancer. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The doctor who saved lives was now fighting for her own. The news shook everyone, but it was Destiny who stepped forward. "Now it's my turn," she said, "to take care of the one who took care of me." And so, the roles reversed. Destiny accompanied Samantha to every appointment, every chemotherapy session. Lakeisha and Terrence took turns keeping her company. The care center's community mobilized with prayers and support. During a particularly difficult moment in treatment, when Samantha felt discouraged, Destiny appeared with a folder. "What's this?" Samantha asked. "Open it," Destiny said. They were drawings, hundreds of them, made by the children of the women treated at the care center. all with messages of hope for Samantha. "You started a chain of love years ago," Destiny said. "Now that love comes back to you." Samantha cried as she looked at the drawings. Hearts, rainbows, flowers, smiling doctors. The simplicity of children touching her heart once again. "There's more," Destiny said, pulling out a specific drawing. "I made this one today." It was a more elaborate sketch with mature strokes. It showed two women, one older and one younger, both in lab coats, holding hands. Beneath it, the message, "Together we are stronger." "You'll beat this," Destiny said with conviction, "because we still have so much work ahead of us. Together." The battle was long and hard. There were moments of despair, pain, wanting to give up, but there was always someone there. A voice that wouldn't let her go, a new drawing to brighten the day, a story of resilience to inspire. 2 years later, Samantha was declared cancer-free. The celebration was held at the care center, with all the women, children and families who had become part of her life. "I've learned something over all these years," Samantha said in her speech. "Medicine isn't about defeating death. It's about celebrating life every day, every moment, every connection. Thank you for teaching me that." Destiny, now graduated, stood by her side. Dr. Destiny, the girl with the drawings who had become a doctor. "I have one last drawing," Destiny said. "But this one isn't just mine." She unrolled a massive banner. It was a collage of hundreds of small drawings, all forming one giant heart. At the center was a photo. Samantha, Lakeisha, Terence, and Destiny embracing, smiling. "This is what you created," Destiny said to Samantha. "A family that goes far beyond blood. A legacy of love and care." Samantha looked at the banner, at the people around her, at the bustling Lakeisha Williams Care Center. She thought back to that afternoon years ago, when she laughed at a child with a crumpled envelope, how life had its twists. "You know," she said to Destiny, "you once asked me if I was happy. Remember?" "I do," Destiny replied, "the day we met." "Today, I can answer with absolute certainty," Samantha said. "I am deeply happy, and it was you with your heart drawings who showed me the way." The two embraced, doctor and doctor, mentor and protege, but above all, two women bound by a story of love and resilience. The care center kept growing. Destiny officially joined the team, bringing fresh ideas and renewed energy. Lakeisha continued coordinating the support groups. Terence Jackson became a sort of counselor for the patients' husbands, teaching patience and support. Samantha, now wiser and more experienced, divided her time between medical practice and lectures across the country, spreading the philosophy of compassionate care. She always carried Destiny's drawings, using them as examples of gratitude's transformative power. At one of these lectures, a young doctor approached her. "Doctor, your story inspired me, but how do we do this in a system that doesn't value compassionate care?" Samantha smiled. It was the same question she would have asked years ago. "Start with one patient," she answered. "Just one. Care for them the way you'd want to be cared for. The rest will follow naturally." That's how it began for me, with a Lakeisha Williams one night on duty. The young doctor nodded and walked away, thoughtful. Samantha knew another seed had been planted. The cycle continued. Drawings turned into care, care turned into healing, healing turned into hope, and hope multiplied into more lives transformed. Years later, when asked about her greatest achievement in medicine, Samantha didn't mention the awards or published papers. She spoke of a girl with a crumpled envelope and a heart drawing. "My greatest achievement," she'd say, "was learning to see beyond the lab coat, beyond the diagnosis, beyond the protocol, to see the human being, and for that, I owe a 7-year-old who never gave up on finding me." Destiny, now a respected doctor, still drew, not childish hearts, but blueprints for expanding the care center, programs for humanization, ways to bring care to more people. "Never stop drawing," Samantha always told her. "Your drawings save lives." "I learned from the best," Destiny would reply. "From the doctor who saved my mother and let us save her in return." And so, on an ordinary afternoon in the care center, filled with women and children, with drawings coloring the walls and stories of resilience being shared, Samantha understood the true meaning of her profession. It wasn't about her. It never was. It was about the connections made, the lives intertwined, the love multiplied. It was about a girl who drew a heart and changed the world around her, one drawing at a time. She looked at Lakeisha, healthy and vibrant, leading her group with renewed energy. At Terence, always present, always supportive. At Destiny, the brilliant doctor who kept the flame of compassion alive. Samantha smiled. The drawing was complete. The heart Destiny had sketched so many years ago had become real, one big enough to hold all those lives, all those stories, all that love. And at its center, always, the simple yet powerful truth a child had taught her. Gratitude has the power to transform lives, both the receivers and the givers. The care center would close soon that day, but the work would continue, in the homes visited, in the lives touched, in the hearts changed. The legacy of a child's drawing that refused to be forgotten. Samantha kept the last drawing of the day. A child had made it during their mother's appointment. It was a smiling son with the words, "Thank you for taking care of my mommy." She smiled. The cycle continued, and it would keep going, as long as there were hearts willing to draw and receive love. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this touching journey. Have you ever experienced something that changed your life? Share your thoughts in the comments about Samantha and Destiny's choices. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories.